Hey, what's up guys? This is 3D Bonfire back with another amazing tutorial, and this time I just want to take some inspirations from some S-tier studios. So I'm just looking at an animation here from Sorba Group for their client enterogermina. And sorry, these birds, they are just going crazy. I have to take care of them. But anyway, let me just try to focus here. All right, come on, let me just try to focus here. Okay, so you can see this animation is really super nice. And I just want to take inspiration from this shot here, all right? So I studied a lot of them and I just try to study the animation and the quality of those shots. But yeah, today I just want to focus on this one here. So the sphere is jumping up, and let's just see this one more time. So this one's jumping up and then this beautiful inflation is happening. One more time, okay? I was just getting inspired by this one and tried to create kind of an own version here. I took some creative freedom and put one into a cave environment, and the other one is a little bit like a medical animation here in a stomach, but then I decided to just give this one a more interesting creative structure here, almost like rocks. So just a little bit creative freedom, but you can see the balloon inflation here. I think that this one is really nice, all right? So I went really deep into the settings and the thinking on how you can build a procedural setup to create these balloon inflations, and yeah, just make it so versatile that you can easily work with it in client projects and create so beautiful inflations like this one. Okay, so therefore, by the way, I already have a 28 minutes free lesson on my Patreon how to build the setup, and then there's also in the membership an additional version. I think this one is also additional 30 minutes to just really go pro. If you need a setup like this one for client projects, then this would be, yeah, a good learning place, I would say. But now I think we talked enough about my inspiration, and maybe just very quickly, you can see that a commercial like this one is consisting of a lot of shots, all right? And when you plan an animation like this one, then often you will land on very short durations of frames for each shot. So it can easily be that, for example, such an animation will only be in camera for maybe 50 frames, maybe for 1 second, maybe 1.5 seconds, something like this one, okay? And this is why you can also see, I mean, this one is also happening very fast. I made it a little bit more slow. So this animation, one jump animation, will maybe last for 60 or 70 frames. But I just wanted to say you have to be very focused, very sharp when you do these animations, and don't make those ones too long, like 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. You just have to keep the attention span high and just try to make the shots sharp in animation. It's coming in, slowing down, doing its animation, and then it's going out of the camera again. Or easing in, something is happening, and then it's already leaving the camera. So this is the idea behind this animation, and I just wanted to show you how you can craft studio quality shots, how I'm approaching stuff like this one when I really work with clients, and just give you some background knowledge. But maybe before we do a basic breakdown of the scene, just quickly could also go through the setup here for the balloon inflation, and you can see that with the setup I created, for example, 4 different versions here very rapidly. So I just took care that the setup on how I built this bubble shell animation will be procedural and easy to change. So for example, you could easily change the pattern for the spline. So for example, this one is more a hexagonal pattern, while this one on the right is more like a berry or like a football, okay? And then it's up to you how wild you want to do it. By the way, this one down here is going a little bit crazy. It's even turning a little bit into an egg shape because the distortion from the movement is so strong. That's very interesting. So anyway, you can see that the setup is pretty nice. And maybe, you know what, let's just build something like this one. I will one spline here. Let's jump into a new scene. Let's paste this one over here and let's create a sphere. Oh, by the way, this one is perfectly matching. That's great. But maybe, you know what, maybe you're asking yourself, how can you create such a beautiful spline, right? So, you know what, let's just quickly, very rapidly try to do this one, because I don't want to make this tutorial too long. But you can see you can create something like this one, maybe a buckyball. Well, do we want to have a buckyball or do we want to have a dodeca? I think we are going with the dodeca, right? And these birds, they are just driving me crazy, but that's just how it is. So now I will just hold down shift while I'm selecting those splines. I just want to get rid of some of those lines. Let me see. I will select all those ones here. Then I will press UZ to get rid of those ones. Then I want to go to lines mode, press Ctrl A to select all of the splines, right click and add to spline. Okay, so now we have everything from the platonic. We can drag out the spline. Let's kill the original shape. Let's also kill this one. Now we have the spline, right? This is looking amazing, but this one is not aligning to a sphere. So what you first could do do is to press US, 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 USA. I'm sorry, I just wanted to press US multiple times so that this one has a lot of points so that you can bend it easy along your sphere. So what I also would like to do is press NB and just switch this one to hexahedron. Let's give this one maybe 200 segments. Now to make the platonic hug your sphere, you can just go to your deformers, and I think you need to have a shrink wrap. Let me just try this one. Sometimes I forgot if this one is the right object. Let me just put the target here, and let's put this one to target axis. Okay, this one is amazing. All right, so this one is already doing the job. You could now just click on this one and say current state to object, kill this one. Now you have the spline. I will press just T to just inflate this one a little bit. This is not necessary. I just want to see the spline better. So now you just go to your sphere, right? You already know how to use a balloon tag, but I would just show you something cool. So you now could just put an overpressure of 2 into your little soccer ball. Oh man, this one is falling down. So press Ctrl D, go to the scene and just get rid of the gravity. Sometimes I would like to do this also in real life. So you can see this one is inflating, but we want to restrict the growth, almost like this one would be a collider here, to just pin it down in certain areas. So therefore you just click on your sphere, go to other text and put in a vertex map. Now in the vertex map you could put in your spline. Let's do it like this. Well, this is not exactly what you want, so click on the spline down there, and I think you have to set this one to radius. Oh man, this one is just running butterly smooth today. Let's put this one to 2.5, and by the way, you could also put an invert into this one to just pin down the red areas. All right, now just go into your mix animation of your balloon tag, and I will put this one to with force. Let's start with a value of 10 and put in the vertex map. All right, so now in those areas your balloon will be pinned down, but you can see we have a little issue here. So it seems that, oh yes, okay, so this is a little gotcha, and with this one I spent like 1 hour to figure it out. So you just have to get rid of the use deform points so that when your object is moving, your mask will still be there. All right, so now let me see this one. Yes, this is exactly what we need here. Press NA to see this one without the lines, and I would say that this one is already going into a nice direction. What you could also do is to just go into the target length and put this one to 120 just to give this one a little bit of a wrinkle look. Let me put this one to 140, and this one just has to be a little bit stronger. Let me just see this once again. All right, something like this one. And by the way, if you want to get rid of this ugliness down there, you just have to go into your fog tag, get rid of Fong angle, and there you go. And I mean, this one is going into the right direction, but if you want to have the full knowledge here on how to build the complete professional setup, you will find the free lesson on my Patreon. Okay, so it's totally free, and you will get all of the knowledge that you need to build this one. Okay, so now I think it is time to just study one of those 2 scenes. Let me just see this once again. I'm talking about this one here in the cave setup, but then also this one with the stomach setup, which is a bit more close to the original reference that I studied. But you can see that I definitely turned this one into my own version. Of course, you can see the inspiration, but I tried to just make it a little bit original. Okay, so I would say let's now study this one. And you can see that here I'm working in an HD format, but often for those projects, often actually you will work in a square format. And why do you work in a square format? If you work in a format like this one, then you can cut out an HD format, but you can also cut out a portrait mode. And often then for those projects, you will design something which will need to match both options actually. So you have to focus most of the time on the HD format, but you still have to keep in mind to keep it interesting also for a portrait mode. And by the way, if you want to have an easy way to see your grid now, you could maybe just go over here into display mode of your camera, go to the overlays and put in a grid. Let me just see this one. But the grid, this will not be an HD format and not a portrait mode. So maybe just get rid of the grid. But yeah, just a little trick here. Put a rectangle into the scene. Let me just see this one over here. And you could put this one to an HD format. Just move it a little bit into the front and scale this one down. Now I want to see this one through the camera until my rectangle will come into camera. I can see that this one is not correctly aligned, so I will just zero this one out. Now I can continue to scale this one down and just align it like this one. Okay, you can also duplicate this one, press R to rotate it, and just rotate this one now around. And now you would have 2 rectangles here, one for the HD format and one for the portrait mode, just to remind yourself what should be in focus. And yeah, you could keep this one in your camera, so this one will move along with your camera. But yeah, I think there are more important things to talk about. The first thing that I want to talk about is you can see it, that the scene, often you will just build your stage as big as it has to be for your shot. So for example, now you can see when I put this one to a square format, you can see that my stage is not big enough actually. So I only have the the HD format in frame. So yeah, just as a quick reminder that when you build your stage for your shot, you don't have to waste polygons and resources, and just keep it a little bit bigger as your stage so you can play with your camera. But most of the time it's just a good idea to think about your resources and just don't build endlessly big stages, and just keep it a little bit more manageable. All right, so I would say now I will just focus this one on my camera, and I think that we can quickly talk about the animation and the lights and the materials. But once again, I think I will do the full breakdown on my Patreon. But just now for you guys here, let's just quickly talk about the materials maybe and the environment setup. So what you can see here, and I mean this one is so simple, right? Sometimes the things, they are not complicated. You just have to think about it in a clever way. And what I did here, I built a procedural setup for this environment with the water and with the rocks or with the landscape. You could also call this one acid in your stomach, but as I said, for the stomach I just went a little bit crazy and put it more into a rock texture, but we can tune this one down so it will feel more like a medical shot for your stomach. So we can do that, of course. What I would first like to do is to just go into the band and just stretch this one out just a little bit more to give it a little bit more curvature here. And just because I just want to close the scene here, I would just put this one to 50. Let's just see if this one is enough. Yeah, something like this. Let's put this one to 55 to, yeah, just have something more beautiful to look at here. I will also put this one to 95, and I will also go into the camera because for now we just don't want to have the depth of field. I mean, you can see that this one has a subtle aperture. If we put this one to 0.5, now you can see that this one is getting stronger. And I mean, sometimes you want to, yeah, just have something like this one where your hero shot is really in focus. But for my final shot, I went with, I think, something like this one. But for now, we just want to get rid of this because we want to see the full scene when we talk about it, when I break this one down for you. So what do we have here? We have a cube, and yeah, the cube is the water. Okay, so it can be that simple. You can see that this one is a cube which is stretching along with your environment. You can do that when you have your environment. This one is the plane, and your water, which is the cube. When you have this one on the same hierarchy with your bend, then you can bend both together. Just keep this one very procedural and easily to change. We can now just go to the cube, for example, and you can easily just raise or lower the water environment. Let me just see this one. All right, so let's keep it like that. But you could also move this one upwards if you want to just have something more like this one. Okay, you can also go into your material, and you can see that the material, this one is so simple. Sometimes I love Cinema 4D and Redshift, even though that the latest releases are really underwhelming, to say that least. But you can see the transmissive material is working really nice here. You can put this one to 100 to make it a bit more dense if you don't want to see that deep into your water. But you could also put this one to 300 to just see more. Let's put this one to 600. All right, something like this one. Now the water is so clear and see-through, which is also giving you a nice effect. And I think you could also, let's just see what happens when I put in some extra roughness. Oh yes, okay. So this one is adding some additional blurriness to the water to give you also a very beautiful effect. But for now, I want to keep this one at 0, and I want to put this one back to 300. And I could also easily change the color here. Let's make this one more green, which is also looking really, really nice. Let's put this one to a blue color. All right, let's just see what we have here. But I think in the end, yeah, let's just put this one to something like a real toxic green. Let me just change the color a little bit. Okay, when you put it over there, then you can make it more clean and see-through. I also like this one, but I think that we want to mix in a little bit more of the color here and just put it back a bit into the yellow, maybe even more to this side. Now it's getting really toxic, maybe something like this one. And I want to put this one back to 450 because I like when you can really see almost to the bottom of your little acid in your stomach here. Okay, let's still call this one a stomach, even though that I turned this one into a rocky environment. So maybe we want to change this one. So we could also now just go to the plane. This plane here is the stomach overall shape, which I'm deforming with a displacer here. But then in addition to the displacer, there is also a material on this one. And in the shader, you can see that I'm using some additional displacement for the more smaller shapes. So I could go here, put this one to 20. Now you can see that this rocky texture on top of it is getting really, really subtle when I put this one to 0. Then you can see how boring actually the overall main shape is. But I mean, we could now put this one a little bit higher. Let's just move it bigger into the shot. Let's just raise this one a little bit up. Now you can see more of the islands, but you can see that overall this one is definitely lacking some definition. But with this displacer here, here, you could just change, for example, the overall shape. So this one, when I change the noise, you can see that then I will get different shapes overall, and you could also change the global scale, for example, to 20,000 to make the islands even bigger. Let's put this one to some random values here. Okay, something like this one. I will keep it like this, but I can also go here into the height, put this one to 600, just to raise this one up a bit higher to, for example, get something like this one. Okay, but now when we go back into the shader, put on the displacement again, let's put this one to 30. Now you can see how many details suddenly will come into the scene. And I mean, you could change the noise here to get something more organic. So right now I have this one a dense. You can see also with the seed, I can just change the rock pattern. I could also just go into it and raise this one up to 4000 to get a bigger noise for this one, something like this one. Okay, which is also looking quite beautiful. But now let's try to get rid of the rocky shape. And I think also what we have here is that there will be a certain restriction for the height of the displacement. So maybe I have to go into the tag here, need to go to the geometry tab and to the maximum displacement, and maybe I have to put this one to 450. No, it's doing nothing. Okay, that is fine for me. So it must be a setting in the noise, but we anyway want to change the noise. So maybe we want to try out, I don't know, let me see what Hama is giving us. Okay, this is definitely not working for our benefits. Let's just see what Luca is doing. Okay, this is interesting. This is interesting, but therefore we would have to scale up the overall size, I would say, to make this a little bit more believable. Okay, interesting, but I'm not a big fan of it. Let's try out new tours. All right, this one is kind of looking nice, but I think then I would have to raise up the scale again to get something interesting. Well, okay, so this is kind of interesting, and I think like this cranial here could be interesting, but you can also see I'm mixing two different noises together. So to see just this noise, let me just directly put this one into displacement. Now you can see this cranial is giving you something like this one, which is kind of interesting. Let's put this one to 200. Now you can see that you get very interesting bumps here. You could now go into an abstract direction with your artwork. All right, if you like to do that, let's put this one to 300 to accentuate this even more. I mean, you can see how crazy this one is looking. Now you could go into your plane, move this one down a little bit, because I still think that we want to see some of the water in combination with this new shape. Let's move it down even more. But now you can see that we easily get something abstract. We could now also just go into the noise and combine this once again with a smaller noise with an add node. So we could put just this one into the displacement. Well, you can see that this one is not working to our benefits. We can just go here, put this one to 500. All right, and you can see with this one, I can give it a little bit of a surface structure and create also a very interesting look for the surface. So yeah, with noises, you can get everything here. And if you would like to do that, you could easily turn this one into a believable stomach texture. But then if you feel creative, you could also turn this one into a moon rocky landscape. And I mean, I know there is no water on the moon, but you can see that you could easily give this one different aesthetics, different feelings very, very easily with just noises, displacement, and some interesting materials. And I think that just to keep this one a little bit more sharp and precise, I would say that this is it for the YouTube part. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about how to build professional stages. Try to sometimes keep it procedural to easily give your client different iterations. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things I want to talk about here, and I think we will build the full scene on my Patreon. But yeah, besides that, there is so much more good stuff. I mean, probably over 200 exclusive lessons on my Patreon if you just want to level up as a 3D artist and go pro. Okay, but I would say that this is it for today. I hope that you learned something here.